Here is your disclaimer. This podcast is full of opinionated individuals, and we may have some takes you may not agree with regarding the media we are talking about. We talk about some topics that may bring discomfort for certain individuals. If you are easily upset or triggered, it is best that you move on. We also do not condone the harassment of individuals possibly referred to or the harassment of the creators and consumers of the media that we talk about.
This episode will contain major spoilers for the following: When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, Queen of Roses by Briar Bolin, the television series Lost Girls by Prodigy Pictures, Inc., as well as minor spoilers for Quicksilver by Callie Hart, the television series Grimm by Universal Television and Hazy Mills Productions, and the television series Merlin by Shine.
Content warnings for Episode 4. Mentions of kinks and sexual themes. Fetishization of minority groups, specifically POC individuals. Themes of trauma and mental health and murder.
Hello, and welcome to the 4th episode of Tea with the Chaotic 3. If this is your first episode with us, let's get some introductions out of the way. I'm Zinda, one of the Chaotic Threes you will be hearing from. Loud and proud and lover of all monsters and mafia, big time on dragons. Bajillion times divorcee. We lost count after the 10th one. I blame Aere. Speaking of Aere, she's also a member of our Chaotic 3. Fantastic, brilliant, super non-innocent good girl with the bratty tendencies. Hide your white-haired fae characters with potential biting habits from this one, folks.
I am innocent. Thank you.
And she does like biting.
Debatable. We also have with us Zephyrus, the last of our trio, our local eldritch horror, and our artist, passionate about all things horror-esque and doomed, showing their love through OC traumatization and fantastic artistic quirks. You'll hear their epic rants throughout our episodes. We love to hear them.
You know, I'm right beside you, so I'm just gonna cover your mouth.
Oh my god.
I am being silenced. Hello?
Yes, you are.
And with us as well is struggling to keep things tidy, neat, and definitely organized. Not so much organized, considering who they have to deal with, is our wonderful manager, Corrosives. It's okay, folks. They may struggle to get us back on track, but they do definitely enjoy swinging that bonk hammer, too.
Yeah, if I didn't have to. If only y'all stayed on track on your own.
Not possible. And with that, we're gonna hop into the subject at hand today, for our 4th episode, which is Fae. So to y'all, I know this is gonna be like a debate mostly between two individuals here. What do you consider Fae? What are they to you?
Hot. That's it. No notes.
Just hot. That's it.
I have to wait
I
for
think I
Zinda
missed
to
the
fucking
whole
key up
description.
so I can make a comment. But pardon?
I'll just keep
Keep your goddamn finger on that key.
it's on there. I'm not moving it.
Hot. That's
I
it.
think I missed something. What was the description, Aere?
Hot.
That's okay. What
No
else?
notes.
No, she's about to get roasted like a fucking burger. A burger?
You mean
A chicken.
or maybe something else?
And just turn her into a rotisserie already, Corrosis.
You're making
Okay,
me hungry.
okay. So just filing this away in the folder of list of Aere crime. Oh God. We're already on the 3rd drawer, Zeph.
What?
3rd drawer.
No.
How is this a crime?
Baby, all you said was hot.
I like Fae. I
No
like
evidence.
Okay, so
No.
what are fae that you like? Because what do you define as fae? Is it just
All right.
whatever someone else tells you fae is?
No. Well, I wrote notes, as you know. So humanoid, this is where you give me flack for it being like monster light.
I mean,
Yeah.
already there's if we're talking about like fae from folklore in various cultures, there's only a small subsection of them that are humanoid. Anyways,
I'm
continue.
going full modern romantasy, basic ass Fae.
No, she wants all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, 4 limbs
Well, they can have
with
claws.
with the claws, me. But if they have ears and wings, and someone tells you they're fae, you go okay, and you jump right in.
Pointed ears, wings for sure. I mean, wings, they don't have to have wings.
Bitch, at
But
least raise your standards.
the concept of
At
the
least be
wings is
consistent.
pretty hot. They usually have magic. I mean, a lot of people in romantasy have magic, but just throwing it in there with the wings and pointy ears and the canines, and they bite and they're possessive. And then
Wait,
what?
wait. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what this is because okay, they're humanoid with wings, pointy ears, and potentially other appendages. They bite and are
Potentially.
Yep,
possessive.
yep.
And okay, sorry. I'll reserve
Yep.
my judgment.
You can hear the steam just coming out of Perosis's ears as they like sit there. Oh my god.
But
Okay.
anyway, so
Mhm.
aside from all the physical attributes, the stories that involve Fae, I'm just particularly into because there's usually like court systems and Fae politics, because like fuck real world politics right now. Fae politics, I will drink that tea. Um and then you kind of know what to expect coming into it. They're really similar with their formulas, like you can't eat their food, or like you know that the MCs are gonna be fated mates at some point, some shit like that. But I will consume it
She likes
violently
that one line fucking
every
trope
time.
where it's just, yeah, no, all this happens every single book. And usually those books have similar naming systems.
Yep.
A court of what now? The wings of what? The night of what? What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit since we've more or less reached the end of your description of what fae are. Because I mean, I guess you're talking about fae in the romantasy sense, which is completely different than what fae actually are, what they originate from, and it seems like from what I hear, like it does pick from different cultures. Different folklore from different perspectives, right? You mentioned the court system. I mean, there's various court systems ranging from like Norse mythology, where you have the Josulfa and Dolkulfa, the light and dark elves, in Alfheim and Svartalheim, uh,
Give me God of War
which
flashbacks.
I mean that's right, but that's like old Germanic folklore. Then I mean that's more or less I think a lot of what Dungeons and Dragons based their elves off of was Old Norse and Germanic version of elves. But then the court systems, we have like Scottish folklore where you have the Seelie and the Unseelie courts, um, which I'm assuming is probably what you mean by the court system. But then there's the whole. So first of all, biting. Okay, like I don't. I mean, I know a bit about fairy folklore, like fae folklore, um, but I don't think that's traditionally, like, a trend amongst,
Well,
like, different fae and, yeah, things, not that are fae adjacent. It's not a trend, so
it's a thing in romantasy. It's like the biting is like
Yeah.
a claiming,
Mhm.
and it's
It very much is. It's
it's
definitely one of
intense.
those tropes.
It's a
like
romantasy
okay,
staple.
so
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they decided let's take, I guess they're more like the she from Irish folklore, which are kind of like fairy noble, like uh nobility kind of, with the Scottish folk, like the Scottish court systems. I guess there's also some similar kind of like n- fey nobility that are a little more human-like, but the like ethereal, um, transcendent beauty kind of like even the males, um, and merged in like stuff from like, I don't know, like vampire and like those kind of animal like and creature lore around like
Wow.
how they claim people versus the whole idea of people just get stolen by the Fae.
I'm
Like
down
I
for a
mean,
good
I
kidnapping and a romantasy too.
Of course.
no, but like stealing people's names. Things like
Ah,
that. Now, I think that would be a really fun trope in any kind of story,
I don't think I've
talking
ever seen
romance.
that in romantasy,
I
but I know
haven't.
what
It
you're
would be
talking about.
fun, right?
It's
But
like eating their
anyways,
food or doing their bargains, and then suddenly, like, you've handed over your soul.
No,
or
oopsie.
something. Yeah,
We
but,
know how I feel about vampires. Maybe that's why.
that's
It's
where I was
definitely
hearing the
why.
biting. I'm like, I don't know if that's a consistent staple across all of romantasy that involves fae, or if that's just a subsection that you prefer because of your preference for biting and vampires.
I feel like it's consistent.
But good to know,
Consistent in what
romantasy is just
we've
wrong when it
consumed, I
comes to
guess.
fae. So that's good. That sets the foundation for what we're talking about here. Is it's not actually fae. It's just some weird, gross amalgamation of fae adjacent ideas.
Well, no, we don't yuck someone's yum. I wa-
But but that being
I-
said, obviously people like that, and I can understand. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that this is not when we talk fae, this isn't what
Well,
fae
I guess
traditionally means.
the
I guess
usual.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I guess it's specifically in romantasy,
Mhm.
it's like so many little bits and pieces of different things, and it's probably just easiest to say fae, because once you add so many different things, it's like, what are we gonna call?
I don't
Yeah, and I guess
fucking
it's
know. Make your own species at that point. Like, is it that hard?
I think a lot of the times you also have to keep in mind that the authors put in familiar terms.
Say Fae like, say dragon like, say
Yes,
vampire like.
but
If they're
still,
not
you're still
going.
using fucking Fae anyway at that point. So they're gonna call it Fae to simplify it for the people who don't want detailed. Hey, this is this. Because a lot of the problem with reading, especially nowadays, is that people say, and I hate this, by the way, turn your brain off just to read, and you will be able to enjoy the content regardless of what it is, regardless of what it's about, stuff like that.
that you
And
won't
I don't know
create.
how.
I don't know
Huh?
how either. I do not do
What
that, but
happened?
it's what I hear a lot of people say. It's like,
With
just turn your brain off.
fantasy, no way. There's
What
too much going
happened?
into fantasy.
What happened to like reading critically?
That's out of fashion and so like 1950s apparently.
Goodness gracious.
But no, and I think because of that, especially in the romance genre and subgenres, the easiest thing for authors to do is just to latch on to like something that is familiar with people, that they are familiar with rather, and just use that as their descriptor. Fae is one of those things, even though there are multicultural differences when you talk about Fae. But for simplicity's purpose, as far as writing goes, especially again in the romance genre, Fae can literally mean any goddamn thing. Any goddamn
Anything that's
thing.
slightly otherworldly.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
From a
quite
different
literally.
plane.
And I'll use Quicksilver as an example. That's one of the ones that actually uses the biting as a big trope in the book. So it's not really uncommon, especially with the newer fucking romance books that we come across. There's always some form of claiming, biting, blood sucking, amongst other sucking, and
Amongst other sucking.
yeah, but like it's a thing. It's definitely what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely more common now than it was probably before.
I mean, yeah. I just I could never just make it a different species and say it's Fae like or it's this like I fucking love lore. I fucking love new creation shit like that. You say Fae and I'm like, okay, is this gonna be romanticy typical Fae, or is it going to be Fae that is actually a little more truer to like what folklore typically depicts Fae as?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to see little asshole fairies?
Oh God.
Or I don't oh god me, because that's like one of the primary examples typically. Or am I going to see grown ass humanoid men who look like humans but have long ears, wings, and are just magical and that's about it?
Sometimes they'll have horns and tails too.
What the fuck? That's what? I'll let Carosis cook you on that one. If they have anything.
Hey, I didn't write it.
If someone just wanted to use the term "fae" and stick them into a human, not human categorization,
I
that's
mean,
what
at
that
that
sounds
point,
like
I
to
feel
me.
like they should just fucking call it monster.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it
That's why I
is.
said Monster Light.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, it's like I just don't. I don't know. Again, it's because of authors using simple terms for their readers' purposes to consume.
I mean, I think some of it, I guess, looking back on I mean, fantasy as a genre in general, I've definitely seen stuff where they take this more amalgam approach to what Fae are. This more loose term on what Fae are. Like they take some pieces from different folklore
Mm-hmm.
as kind of a foundation, but then they go, well, that's fun, but really, I want to do all this other stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
just want to keep like ethereal, otherworldly, just like a little bit threatening and dangerous.
Not human.
As if Fae aren't already like that.
Yeah, no, like that's what they're pulling from it, right? Is that those those things, and then making it, yeah. I don't
Human
know.
enough to be relatable to the person that they're pairing the person with, the Fae with,
Yeah,
Fae, right? And then otherworldly enough where it's like exotic, essentially.
yeah,
When you
exactly,
that's
term
the
it
drive.
like that, man,
I
it
mean,
really
that's what it
gives
is.
it really gives a feeling to it where it's like,
I mean,
exotic.
yeah, that's
I wonder what else is typically called exotic when it's,
where does this actually kind of stem from?
I mean, let's be real. Most fucking like subgenres are a fetishization of something,
Oh, yeah.
right? That's what they are. So Fae is no different. Using Fae in romantasy, no different. It's definitely like one of those things that, oh, this is not like me. So it's different. And that's why it's appealing. That's why I like this. And I'm not saying that that's the reason why we read it, but you know,
That might be the case for some people,
yeah.
but it's definitely not my fucking reason for wanting to read a story about a fantasy creature. I read fantasy because I want to read fantasy, because I like seeing what people can create with their minds and what they can do with the materials that they are given in the real world and stuff like that. That's why I like fantasy. Zinda just saying like exotic in terms of Fae really made me go, huh?
But am I wrong
Yeah,
though? Am
I
I
don't feel
wrong?
like you are. There's definitely that
no,
subsect of people who, you know.
Like it's the same way. It's the and I'm gonna say this. It's the same way when some people say I like when my man, woman, them, that they thems have like pointy eyes or have like a
oh,
certain
that's
type of.
not a
It's not, and that's why I'm trying to like make a point here. That's essentially what the fetishization.
Fetishization. Oh, goodness.
I can't speak
We know.
anymore.
Fetishization.
Listen,
We know
I've
what
had
you're
a
trying
bad
to
day.
say.
Anyway, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, that's why people use it in their books, because dude with like slightly and I hate this fucking word, by the way, tawny skin and big muscle He-Man kind of fucking dry shit, and they're like, I like this, but then they don't realize the other side of saying something like that, which is basically painting that character as a alpha hole.
Alpha.
That's
Alpha.
basically
Hate
what they
that
are.
term.
Alpha hole. That's what they
Well-
are. Alpha assholes. And you just put them together and you call them alpha holes. And sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, to like add to your point, the Fae in these romanices, they're also always from like another land that's been inaccessible
Yes.
to the
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
which just
And
further adds to that whole like exoticism. God, I can't words either.
Yeah, no, big
Words are hard.
words. We
You know
don't
what we're
have the
saying.
brain power for this.
It's been a day. It's been a day. But yeah, no, I feel like that's one of the main reasons that these subgenres get like really convoluted, and it's like they just take things randomly, like you said, and then build on that and just create their own type of whatever the fuck, and call it fae,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
In the
and sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna add, I like I know a lot of it like formulaic and can like look the same when you just put the tropes on paper, but I love seeing like the same thing being done different ways by different authors.
Yeah, when it's done different ways by different authors, that's an entirely different story. But when it's like a very obvious cookie cutter, like redo over and over again, it feels more like someone took from these people took from one specific source because that source got all the traction. And yes, I am referring to a specific author who shall not be fucking named. But like when you have one mainstream source of media, to be honest, sometimes it takes the creativity out of people, and there are no original, like, quote unquote original thoughts in terms of like pure originality. What makes something original is how you take it, you personalize it, and you produce it and project it out into your own world. And that's what makes something original to me. That's what makes something personal to me. So, having the cookie everyone's dying. Ba ba ba. Cookie cutter cutouts of the same tropes. Well, not the same tropes, but the same characters. Like, it's the same random fucking female protagonist every time. It's the same men or man every time. And it's like, you can do better. Come on.
And it's really fucked up because like those same authors who wrote these books that are similar to the one you're referring to that shall not be fucking named, it always drives me mad because like they'll be in their descriptions and they'll be like, oh, if you liked so and so, this book is perfect for you. Shut the fuck up. Stop giving this person who is a problematic author access to newer readers, because when those newer readers find out that, oh my god, this person is this, and then they're like, oh, I can't believe I supported this person. Yeah, y'all fucking like gaslit these motherfuckers into reading something that was so fucking horrid by a horrid person.
I mean, half the time it seems like they don't give a fuck, and they sit there and they go, don't police my literature.
Just stop making everything political.
I'm sorry, but newsflash, reading and creation is inherently political. The fact that the creations you make are influenced by the things around you, and therefore your ideas and ideals get projected onto your creations, and thus inherently making it political no matter how out of reality it is.
Okay, so we talked about what Aere likes about Fae and like, her preferences of,
Well,
snatched waist.
so we talked a little. Well, we didn't reach that part. I don't think.
Did we
Well,
not?
I don't
She was
think-
talking
No.
about the fucking, what do you call it?
She said hot and then listed off like a few things regarding the
Yeah,
actual books.
like describing what she sees as Fae, which are very, very just generic. So that is a good point, though. Like, so I guess this is mostly directed at Air, but you're right. Like, what do you? Why do you like them so much?
Hot. I'm
Hot.
forever going to hold that against you.
Hot. No
Hot,
notes.
no other notes.
Like I said, that's it. No.
Oh, girl. Mother, why?
I've already said, so when it comes to the books, it's like if it's like labeled it's a fae romantasy, whatever, I already kind of expect like certain points are gonna get hit in the book, and some books hit the points, some go like totally somewhere else. I love seeing how authors portray these things differently. A really good example of that we both loved, Cindo, was When the Moon Hatched. So, like, you've got the Fae, you've got the magic systems, but, like, the magic systems are more dependent on, like, a higher god tier. It's weird to explain. They hear voices of gods, and the gods they can hear give them their powers.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's just it was very unique. The
It
world
was
split into, like,
yeah.
3 very clear divisions.
Mhm.
The FMC's going through a shit ton throughout
Has
that book.
past gone through a shit ton and then goes through a shit ton all over again with new life and everything in there. Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah.
of trauma to unpack and a lot of, like, exploring, her compartmentalizing her traumas and
Yeah, which now that you mention it, that was like one of my favorite ways of like someone describing how they deal with trauma, because
Mhm.
that's what it was for her. The way she explains that there is this lake and she dumps all her bad feelings in this lake. That
It's like
was
a
like
mental
so
lake.
fucking beautiful the way it was
And
explained.
and it's, like, frozen over so, like, none of her bad
Mhm.
thoughts can get out until the
Mhm.
lake cracks. And, like, that's
Mhm.
this whole thing that yeah, I'm hoping the author explores more in the second book because I was still confused by it. But the Fae male in that book, the lead, amazing.
Mhm.
Beyond the hotness, but, like, there was just
Is
the
it all the biting?
brutality. Yeah, there's some biting.
No.
But, like,
Uh-huh.
I like it when, like, the romantasy, I don't know if this is the right way to describe it, but, like, it goes from, like, normal romantasy to, like, somebody is getting decapitated.
Ah.
And when the book goes from, like, regular fantasy into, like, brutal fantasy, I don't know. I swooned. We both swooned.
Oh, it
Hmm.
was so fucking good. No, I am on with Air on this one because like this was definitely an interesting way to portray a Fae society with all its problems, with all its political stuff, with all its magic systems. The magic system again was really, really. I liked it. I loved the way they described it, and this author, the way they describe everything that's happening in the book, whether it was character related, environmental related, mental images. It was gorgeous writing, in my opinion. So yeah,
It
this
was
one
great,
was
and a lot of
really
people
fucking good.
hate I think they called it, like, purple prose or lyrical prose. A lot of people hated that, but then again, it's like, can we think a little critically when we read? Like, it's not
What the fuck
that
is
difficult to understand what the author's trying to convey with her very flowery writing. Um,
what the fuck does that mean? Hold on, go back a little and explain to me what purple prose or lyric whatever it was that you said.
that's what I believe that's what people were calling it.
Collaring?
Um,
Oh,
Ma'am, are you
pookie.
Sorry.
imagining and daydreaming right now? What's
No,
going
no,
on?
no, no.
Collar.
Sorry. A quick Google search. Purple prose is overly ornate, that may disrupt the narrative flow by drawing undesirable attention to its own extravagant style of writing. So it's
Damn.
like
I didn't
it
know having good writing was a fucking crime now, but you
Well,
it
know.
no, there's
feels
a difference
very
between good
poetic.
writing and over prosing something.
Yeah,
It's
Uh-huh.
not right.
there's a lot of sections that are very poetic and they do like over describe things, but I didn't hate it. A lot of people hated it, and it's like,
I
get out of here.
loved that though. I was like, that was one of my favorite things. Like, again, I will give the example of how she deals with her fucking trauma in that book. And every time there's mention of her mental environment, like her image in her head, the way she does it, it was explained in such a fucking fantastic way. It was like you were there. To me, I could literally, when I was reading this book, and I think that's just how I read. I envision what I am reading, and like a movie plays out for me. But that's just how my brain works when I am reading these
Same.
stories. And to me, I had a clear image of what the author was saying, clear image of this frozen lake, clear image of this little tiny hole that she scratches in and dumps everything, like literally just like packs her fucking emotions and whoop, in there. You
Yeah,
know,
she's painting a very vivid picture, and it's just got some extra tidbits in it, and I super liked that. I
I
don't know
mean,
why
God
other
forbid a
people hate
bitch
it.
fucking make something
She's
so fucking like perfectly imaginable,
I feel like
it's an author doing something different to the story that's been done
right?
again and again and again.
I feel like in the case where you're trying to describe mental states of your characters and stuff like that, and you want people to understand how your character functions, when you're talking about the mental state, it's important to use a little bit more language there, because just describing it with simple actions and words won't get across the point you possibly want. So I feel like in those situations, it's actually better to use this more flowery writing, even if some people might consider it, too much, because,
And
I
and
ate it
different
up.
people have different opinions on like what is too much when it comes to that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But I think it also really depends on what's on the story that you're trying to tell and the characters, because I think different styles of prose
Hmm.
fits different types of worlds and characters personally.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think that play using prose as a tool to help further the world and the characters, I think is also a really fun thing. That's
I like it personally. I
It was
fucking
great.
enjoyed that. And
It
in
was
this
different.
particular book, especially as a first in a series, was I don't know, from in my opinion, magical. And I think
Well,
that's what I want from my fantasy romances.
Well, and for us, like, if I'm remembering correctly, we went from Quicksilver, which
Mhm.
is Fae and vampires and like this whole also god magic system thing, straight into When the Moon Hatched. And
Mhm.
like the writing between those, violently different.
Violently different
Extremely different.
I'm sorry to any fucking like Quicksilver fanatics. For me, Quicksilver is not peak. And
Not
it
as
will
good.
never be peak. But when we turned around and we did read When the Moon Hatched, that was like emotionally a roller coaster, because like god damn, like a woman can write. And the trauma in this book that she explains that the FMC goes through, and like the very confusing, like, who is she, who is this letter, who are these letters coming from, and all that shit. And then at the end you get the punch where it's like, oh my god, that's what this is really about. No, their world's different. Quicksilver was very much like a, this is a fey society. They were separated by this blah 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 kind of entity, and now they're coming back together. Oh, by the way, they're fated mates somehow. And yeah, there's an enemy that they have to go fight. Blah 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 blah. And then when you turn around and you read fucking When the Moon Hatched, yes, similar story, but like not the same. Not
The
the same at
same but
all.
different. And that's what I love about this shit. Also, side note, When the Moon Hatched, the male main character smells like bread.
Yeah, oh my god, that cream
Perfect.
puffs.
Beautiful.
Cream
Cream
puffs. Something
puffs.
Cream
buttery
puffs.
cream puffs or something like that. And it was like one of the funniest and cutest things I've ever fucking read about MMC.
Every time this fucker's around, she's like, Why do I smell
Buttery.
buttery bread?
Yeah.
She smells
God,
buttery bread and she
Is
has
this
to wonder.
Mashal?
And then for Zinda, it had dragons. So it's fae and dragons. No wings, but they had dragons.
I mean, I guess isn't there like a tendency towards some overlap between dragons and I mean, I guess because it's all romantasy, it's all technically based off fantasy, so it wouldn't be. It feels like that's a pretty common overlap.
There is.
Yeah.
I feel like it's usually your typical fantasy tropes and stuff like that, just, you know, adjusted for the specific genre and stuff like that, or specific story that they're trying to go with.
Dragons are pretty consistent in Fae stories, though. Like
If there's dragons and does like
Gib,
sprinting.
I don't
She's
fucking
running
care,
for
man.
it.
Gib, like Monster Mafia dragons. Let's go. I don't. And if
So
it
it
has
had-
all of those fucking things, oh yes, yum.
Dragons biting. The guy
Uh-huh.
smells like pastries. Unique magic system. The division, the 3 divisions in the world. The brutality with the decapitation. Like everything. This is it.
Fantastic.
This is it. Air's just ascending.
I mean, it's
Just
funny.
going
like,
up.
I agree with Aere on this one for sure. Like
I've got to read it.
you do. It's so good. And the next book
Shoves
isn't
it into
until
Zep's
fucking
face.
February 2026. So you got time.
No, February 2026.
Yeah,
It got pushed
it was
back.
so fucking oh god. The day
Oh.
I ordered it too, it was like so fucking funny because like I ordered it and the day after Air's like, "Oh my god, you won't believe this." Blah blah blah. And then I'm like, "No.
But
Don't
you know,
say it."
this world is so detailed. I'd rather she get an extra 4 months if she
I mean,
needs
I
it.
agree.
I was gonna say if it's for the betterment or
Mhm.
for the story to be, you know, revised, looked at, and edited to how she wants it, and you know, adding and removing things that she feels. Personally, I think when someone's creating something, pushing it back to enhance it more than you originally planned to because you want to and because you want to produce a quality product is better than just popping it out and having and A, being unsatisfied with it, and B, popping out a product that is either lesser of quality or something along the lines of that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, when the moon hatched, 10-10. 10 fucking 10.
That was a very long-winded way of me explaining why I liked Faye.
I mean, the bottom line is Aire likes Fae, humanoid Fae, monster light Fae.
There's different levels of it. If we're gonna say like what I think's perfect, like when the moon hatched is way up there on the list. Not so perfect. It involves tigers. We can get into that later though.
Aere and her fucking tigers in fantasy and battling for her life. This is the one thing where I'm not sure I can agree with you on.
I kind of see the point though. Like I understand that
In that situation, yeah, because to
like-
be honest, it seemed like the author was throwing shit around just to throw shit around and didn't know what she was doing.
that's basically what Aire's point was. But I do understand, especially because like this author took enough time out to make her own version of undead. Okay.
Yeah,
it was literally her own version of undead. I never read anything like that or seen a description like that, and it was okay, interesting. By the way, this author is juvenile writing. Anyway, in my opinion, but like I get it. I understand why the gripe of okay, why do we have like a basic tiger and that's the thing that's going to fucking murder this person. In retrospect of your uniquely written fucking zombies.
Yeah,
a tiger in fantasy isn't something I would bat an eye on unless, it was introduced in a manner that made me go, huh, I'm not sure. But, like, the real life creatures and stuff like that, because Hi, editing Zeph here, cutting in the middle of this episode to warn you that I am bad at explaining things. This instance you're about to see is so bad that I decided I needed to correct myself right here. 1. I was trying to explain convergent evolution and how two or more completely unrelated organisms will evolve similar features for similar problems regarding their ecosystems or environment, causing them to have similar body shapes and stuff like that. 2, I said descendants like 1 or 2 times when I meant ancestors. So there's that. Okay, enjoy the rest of the episode. Damn, I had something about evolution coming up and how, like, animals will, like, be from completely different descendants, but will evolve to have very similar structures and very similar, like, bones and stuff like that and survival equipment, and like, they'll be across the fucking world from each other, having never interacted. They just evolve in accordance to what their habitat, basically needs them to do. And sometimes these evolutions cause species to have very similar bone structure, very similar lifestyles, and stuff like that. And, that is something that actively happens with animals in general. I don't know if that worded properly.
I
It made
understand what
sense.
you're saying, yeah.
Mhm.
I have a lot of thoughts in this brain, but my mouth cannot, like, follow.
It's fine. It's been a day for all of us.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
my
it's
perspective on like I agree. I think I understand a little bit around this whole topic of like the author specifically in this case was lazy. I can
yeah,
understand that
well, yeah.
frustration, but the idea of tigers in fantasy is from my opinion, it makes sense to have in any world where you're creating a lot of new ideas and a lot of new things to also have some strong foundations in the known. Yeah, just renaming tigers to something else I mean, it doesn't really add that much value to rename something. I mean, we see, right? I think what Zeph was trying to get to is that even cultures and peoples who are completely disconnected and isolated from each other come up with similar terms or words for the same creatures, same
That's
animal.
definitely something that happens, yes. What I was
So,
getting to was more so animals across the world will develop very similar structures and stuff like that
mhm,
to survive, even though
mhm,
they have no correlation with each other, no naturally known descendants. But yes, that is something that also happens where, like, similarly named things and stuff like that, and different cultures having very similar things, which is especially prominent in, like, mythology and stuff like that,
mhm.
where different cultures and different religions will have different gods with different names, but a lot of them tend to have a very similar correlation with a specific value or idea or belief or just in general.
Folklore is specifically in folklore
Mhm.
because, right, if we talk about like, there's a whole other topic around intentional appropriation of like mythology and pantheons to
Mhm.
overwrite cultures and colonialism and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But but if we look at folklore, which originated more independently, you're right, exactly that, where you'll see very similarities. They may be a little different and a little unique, but there's a lot of similarities and overlap between cultures.
Mhm.
But back to my original point in that any world needs a foundation in the familiar, especially worlds like fantasy, which build a lot of the unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And so if one of those things that is familiar that people can connect with, oh, this is scary and dangerous, is tigers, which, I mean, a lot of people do have that innate under I mean, that a lot of it is sure through media and stuff, but a lot of people have this understanding that tigers are innately dangerous. And so being able to leverage that piece of the known in a world that is otherwise filled with new or adapted ideas, it does help the reader or the viewer or whatever type of media. It helps the participant engage with it better, to connect with it better, because it's something that helps connect the unknown to the known. Connects
This
very
tiger
real
did not
emotion.
help me. This tiger took me the fuck out.
And this is completely unnecessary and doesn't contribute anything to the conversation. But tigers are cool as fuck.
Well, they are.
I love big cats. If you throw a big cat in there, most of the time I will sit there and I will go, "Ooh, kitty!" and be ecstatic over the sight of a predatory cat getting ready to launch on someone.
And that's all fine and good, but like my gripe again, being this high fantasy setting she's trying to create, and like Zinda had mentioned, like she created this whole unique structure and concept around the zombie, only used it for like 3 pages, mind you, never comes back to it again. Like, what the fuck, that was great. But then like I'm just taken out of this book because the FMC is like going outside. I don't remember if it was like an outdoor fountain she's hanging around or what she's
going
doing.
to a lake or something to take a bath or whatever.
When
But
she
it's
was
like
already like a prisoner or something like that, or like
Yes.
in captivity, and for some reason they like let her go loose on her own, which was, I think, another complaint.
And then a tiger just like jumps out of the tree and like freaks her out, and I'm just like, are we serious? Like, after everything we just went through with the zombie children, like
this is less about tigers and more about bad writing and narrative choices.
It's a lot more about the fact that there's an intricately made like entity already, which are the zombies that y'all are talking about. So you have that, and then all of a sudden the next she drops the fucking zombies apparently, but also didn't y'all DNF the book like midway?
I DNF'd it. I DNF'd
like we
it
read
after...
the first one. Zinda DNF'd and I tried to keep going, and then I DNF'd like midway through the second book.
But yeah, so you have this intricately made entity of zombies, or akin to zombies, and then it's dropped. It's not brought back as far as y'all know. And I mean, if it was as big of a deal as it was, why wasn't it brought back? And then out of nowhere, the author drops a fucking tiger and says, yeah, this is your biggest conflict. She could have dropped a magical feline-like creature that's similar to a tiger.
And I'm going to use Briar Bolin's Queen of Roses as an example, because like it's a similar situation, right? And this might be a little bit spoilery for Aere because they intend to read this.
Cover your
ears. I will not remember.
Brother, cover your ears.
So basically, there are felines in that series, right? And they're kind of like panthers / tigers, but there are other features that are described for that. Like they're in their descriptor, basically it's like they're huge battle cats, they have like a connection with the person they bond with, and they have like different patterns and different like fucking physical features to make them unique. And it was a great way, and throughout the whole fucking book, any kind of creature you come across was unique. It was described in such a way that you were like, okay, yeah, this is different than what a normal fucking, I don't know, wraith looks like or would look like, or some kind of undead, because there were undead-ish kind of things in that series too. There were undead children that would try to nyam on the FMC as she was making her way through her quest with this other dude. And I'm bringing this up because like it's similar situations in two different books, but the author in one took the time to give this generic meow meow and make it her own, and in the other one that wasn't the case. That was not entirely the case at all.
Yeah.
And
She just took the generic meow meow and went, okay,
here,
go.
Yeah, exactly, go eat the FMC. And that was it. That and I think I honestly agree that it might be a narrative and writing choice, essentially, as Kurosa said earlier. It's like the author just got lazy and didn't fucking do anything special with the creature she put forward. That's literally
100%.
it.
It's for me, like, I would have very different feelings if the world that she was writing was maybe like a mix of what you would expect to be like modern or a little bit like based in like, I don't know the right words for it. Like if she's using actual like Earth / fantasy realm as connected, but she's not. She's like writing a high fantasy. It's supposed to be all whole unique world. And like I have high expectations if you're telling me it's a high fantasy and then you throw a fucking tiger at me and there's nothing different about it. Like I can't. I don't like it.
No, I mean I get it. I understand it completely.
My expectations were set elsewhere and then that happened, and that's, I mean, we're going beyond like all the other issues I had with that book, like not even knowing what the fucking FMC's hair color is.
No,
ever.
not having any fucking descriptor of any sort of any of the MMC or FMC throughout the fucking like majority of the first book.
Well, no, we get a descriptor that he has feathered wings at some point, but the concept art that the author includes in the physical print is a boy with bat wings.
Oh,
yeah, that was
so
what the fuck.
Many issues.
We sure it was a different guy? We sure it wasn't a different guy?
That was the main.
It was the main male character.
Yikes! What happened to consistency?
Doesn't exist with this author, I don't think.
She writes a lot too.
Y'all should have ran when her only selling point was floppy books.
I mean, they did look really good flopping. I don't know.
Girl, if they can't tell you the summary of their book for their selling point, I think maybe you should wait on it before you go, oh, we'll read this, and then become sorely disappointed.
The great thing is that it was on the Kindle and not the actual physical copies, because I would have been so
use
how
physical.
I was so fucking pissed about Kiss of the Basilisk. That God. Can fuck right off.
That was a trip, and I didn't even read it.
I'm so
Monster romance gone wrong.
I just watched Aaron Zinda tweak out about it.
I had a whole ass meltdown.
Air had several.
She not coming back
to it.
Not Fae at all, but I guess adjacent because it's monster and otherworldly. But regardless, anyway, yeah, no, 0 out of 10. Not recommending ever. All right, so
I guess we've talked a lot about like several different series, but I mean like Faer scattered across so much media. I guess we've been focusing a lot on like romantasy Fae, and I guess maybe we can start to talk a little bit about kind of other media. What other media have y'all seen or want to see or know about, which have similar or their own like definitions of Fae?
Well, we have a list of certain things. Classic elves from Tolkien's work is one of them, right?
Very different.
And
but I love them too. Not romantic though.
Yeah.
I mean, it drives a lot of what we see elves in fantasy today, because prior to Tolkien, right, elves were small.
Yes.
Small little
yes,
things
they were. Yes.
in most folklore, and it wasn't until Tolkien kind of took from a few different folklore like cultures, create the elves in the Lord of the Rings series that
Mhm.
Specifically, like the
shifted.
high elf.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, and so we see, I mean, that's what drove what a lot of people see as elves in modern fantasy.
yeah, no, it definitely influenced fantasy literature moving forward after his work was released, and the descriptions of the elves being, oh, they're not small and tiny little people walking around like, mini slightly bigger hobbits. Uh, and they're bigger than dwarves. Excuse me, hello, what's happening? But yeah, Tolkien definitely was like a driving force. Tolkien's work was definitely a driving force for Fae moving forward, I think, especially in like the media, or rather TV series and movies.
Media in general.
Media in general. Yeah.
Media in general work because it's also just writing in general.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
true
say
too. Very
fantasy
much.
specifically.
Fantasy,
elves.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, what else? We have
Fae and like Fae outside of books don't hit with me as well. Like like in television shows. I tried to watch Carnival Row. I got bored.
Okay.
It dragged. I wasn't super into it. I don't know why, because I know a lot of people loved it. It was not my jam.
I mean, I haven't watched it yet. It's on the list, but I did watch the one that I watched was Lost Girl, and that was heavy on the Fae. Like, so basically, like a TLDR is the FMC Beau is a succubus Fae. Her father, I think, was the incubus, so whatever the fuck. And like, it's very like the magic system in that is obviously light and dark. There's a whole court system. You either have to be light or dark, and if you don't choose either or, you are on a hit list essentially because you are not loyal to one or the other. So Beau was one of those people who was like, yeah, fuck both of you. I'm going to do my own thing. And she makes like this whole fucking agency that investigates Fae crime and fights Fae crime. And she is a, the whole time she's like exploring her Fae magic and her sexuality and there's like a whole fucking thing about her father being like the big bad and wanting her to join forces with him and but that was an interesting Fae story to watch.
I'm actively looking it up.
It's actually really, really good.
It's
free to watch, I see.
Oh,
it's interesting to see a succubus be considered Fae
right,
in a, like series because those are typically classified under fiend or demon or something like that.
Exactly.
Hellish creature, malevolent creature, which they can be malevolent, but it's usually a mischievous type of malevolent. Succubi and incubi are, hellish type of malevolent. So seeing a succubus be portrayed under a Fae category, that's an interesting way to put them. I mean, I'm interested. I might look into it.
I honestly recommend
it's free to watch online, Zeph.
It's actually really good. It's a big ass motherfucker, and she goes between two people too. It's like she's in love with this doctor lady, and she's in love with the werewolf dude. Yes, werewolf dude.
Wait, no.
So
no, is it a white? Is it? Does she get both, or does she get?
She
one?
gets both sometimes.
Damn it.
Sometimes.
Is it off and on relationship?
Yes.
All right.
It's she, like I said, it's very much about her exploring herself, her magic, and her sexuality all in one fucking TV series, and it's actually really well done. And I love her sidekick, who is like this little Russian girl. And there's like this whole episode of Baba Yaga at some point, and it's just so fucking funny and great. Like I definitely recommend watching that if you want to like see a very same but different take about Fae and courts and like all that shit.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I gotta say, I'm looking at the episode list. Why are there so many puns?
Listen, this is a TV series.
Now
from
you're
like
interested. I'm interested.
Let me name a few.
Something. So like it's heavy on the motherfucking puns.
Where there's a will, there's a Fae.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Fatal attraction.
Yep.
Arachnophobia.
Oh no, it's all Fae-related
Payday.
puns.
Full justice. Something wicked this Fae comes.
Yep.
It just keeps
Incredible.
going.
Yep.
Incredible.
No.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you were describing it a little bit, and I'm like, that kind of reminds me of this Russian like vampire series called Night Watch. So like it's a series of books, Night Watch, Day Watch, and Twilight Watch. But the premise is that people, when they discover their vampires, um proceed to try to be recruited by these two sides, the light and the dark, which each have who have always been kind of at odds, and so they're constantly trying to recruit new vampires, people that discover their vampires, or of um other types of creatures similar to vampires. I don't remember, but all the different types that they included, but it mostly focused on vampires.
Okay.
Hmm.
But it basically follows this guy, or Night Watch follows this guy who awakens to a vampire, and then the politics of getting dragged both back and forth between the two different sides, them trying to convince him to join their side of the fight.
Right.
So basically, originally the two sides were at war, like massive, almost completely annihilated each other, and so they reached a truce. And to enforce that truce, basically, they're both only allowed to recruit up to X number of people, so they can't have too many more than the other group. And to enforce it, there's subgroups defined known as the Night Watch, who is a group that's responsible for monitoring the light, and the Day Watch, who's responsible for monitoring the dark vampires. Um, And so it's really an interesting world, and I think the story was fun. But again, it's hard to find. They were a popular novel series in Russia, and then they made like a movie adaptation that made it to the US for just Night Watch. I know that they made a Day Watch film, but it never made it to the US.
Damn. Why can't we get the good stuff?
Right.
Right?
I guess another example was Grimm.
The Grimm fairy tales?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, they were like.
No, not the fairy tales, the Grimm TV series.
Oh, I did not watch the TV series. Never mind.
Which is based off the fairy tales.
Yeah.
It's heavily influenced, yes, and it follows like this one detective who stumbles into the Fae world essentially, and he finds out like he's supposed to be some kind of like hunter of the Fae that go bad. So like it's like it basically follows him, and he encounters a lot of otherworldly beings, anywhere from like wendigos to werewolves to selkies and a bunch of other things under the umbrella of fae, quote unquote. So there's that one too. There was also Merlin, the TV series.
Never finished that.
I
Rest in peace.
love that TV series. I have
That
watched
series
it.
is so good.
For me, yes, in my opinion.
When are we rewatching that
We
together?
need to rewatch that, and I'm going to drag
Down.
Zeph and Aere with us.
Am I getting put in the baby seat?
Yes, you and Aere both. Actually, we have to do that with Aere for several TV series.
Oh, yeah.
Gulps.
Don't gulp at me.
We're about to fucking pull you by your hair to listen to Epic. Don't fucking test me.
Yeah, no, that's happening for sure.
That's an entirely different thing. Get your ass to
Halfway
it.
through it.
We're just gonna have to like do the whole tape her eyes open and sit her in a fucking chair, strap her the fucking.
I have dry eye.
I have try
I got some tear.
We'll get you some eye drops.
Yeah, eye drops for that. It's fine. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
But Merlin was also one, and that also had like otherworldly beings, fae folk, a whole ass magic system, and it was Arthurian, I think it's called Arthurian.
Arthurian.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
word. And
It's
in
based off of the Arthurian, the saga of Arthur.
Arthur,
Pendragon.
yes,
Mhm.
Arthur Pendragon and his family and his father before him, and how the system went
Uther.
from Uther, motherfucker, dickhead,
Uther Pendragon was
horrible human, fucking horrible.
even
human.
worse in the show than I think he was in the lore, to be honest.
Yeah, they definitely made him into something.
I also love the actor they got for him.
Oh yeah. He did a
Anyway,
really
sorry,
good
that's a
job.
distraction from what you're saying. Back to you.
No, he's totally okay. But yeah, I think in that one there's like dragons, there's fae folk, there's witches, wizards, obviously, and good, bad. Magic system again was pretty fucking fantastic. And it was interesting to see the political view of why they condemned it to use it to condemn it again. Anyway, but like it's a good example of what fae in media is and what people see it as, for sure.
Yeah, the BBC Merlin show is good.
Yes,
At least from our
recommend that one.
perspective. I know that there's people that really do not like it.
Yeah,
To each their own.
yeah.
Some people have
Exactly.
strong opinions. Now, if we want to talk closer to like classic fae, I think surprisingly, so there's this more recent survival crafting game, Nightingale, actually has the fae in that game are closer to more traditional folklore fae. I mean, like even the guide character Puck, which fun fact, by the way, a puck is also the same. It's the from British folklore, English folklore. The like tricksters from like Fey tricksters were also were called puck. So fun fact there. So
Nightingale,
yeah,
40% off on Steam right now.
Didn't you play that with us?
I played it for
I
like
played it
a
some,
day.
but couldn't get into it.
I struggled. I remember struggling real hard.
They've made it better, but it's still kind of like it takes a specific niche of interest to really stick with it. It's not for everyone. It's better than it was, but it's still not for everyone. I've only put like 200 hours in.
No,
Oh my
damn.
gosh. I was just going to look at my
Only.
hours. 2 hours.
Oh my god. So basically you played it with us for one night
Yep.
and then
Not even the whole night.
fucked off. She was like, okay, I think I'm done, guys. Bye.
It didn't have tree chopping mechanics that she really liked. Sorry,
Yeah,
y'all.
no.
That
I mean-
really is a requirement these days.
These days.
It's always a requirement with you. The fuck?
How are you both easy to please and hard to please? Can you pick a fucking struggle, bitch?
No.
Zinda just quietly shaking her head at me is fucking funny.
I'm literally like, no, she can't. That's not.
Oh, the
It's-
game
it's
doesn't have
physically
tree
impossible.
chop. The game doesn't have trees that fall down when you chop them and damage everything within the radius, including yourself and your own teammates, where sometimes you might fucking obliterate them into fucking nothingness. But you mentioned white-haired boys, and all of a sudden she's down on her knees.
No comment.
The duality of air.
Babe, there
No
is
comment.
needs no
There doesn't need to be a comment.
exactly. Oh my god, I can't fucking English right now.
I'll English for you.
Anyway,
No comment, as if we fucking need it right now.
There's literally this whole episode is going to be just air proof that Aere is just into.
They're being pan fried.
I wouldn't necessarily say pan fried, but definitely like evidence that
Okay.
Aere is the Fae.
When you're asked why do you like the specific genre or the specific like character archetype or the specific depiction of a species in fantasy, and your only comment is hot, I'm sorry, you're
Yeah, when you're
already on the
asked-
spike like a rotisserie chicken.
She's on the spit.
She's on the
Over the
spit
fire.
and like someone's spinning that bitch. She is twirling.
I have no defense.
Exactly. Pan fried. You're cooked in several.
Actually, no,
fucking
she's air
ways.
fried.
Air fried.
Oh my god.
No.
Gotta go.
I knew the pun was coming at some point. It has to happen at some
It
point.
has to happen. Look. I mean, you know who I am. Come on.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, we could kind of go on about different Fae in like video games, shows, and anime, and movies and books. But I think that we've done a pretty good job of encompassing at least Aere's feelings on the matter, exploring a little bit about the rest of ours too. Um, so I think with that, we've reached the closing point of our episode.
Already.
Already. I know. It
flew.
feels like it went by so fast with Aere talking about just hot. It's a strong starting point, I know.
I need to have like a remix of this fucking episode, and
Hot.
every now and then all you hear is hot.
No
So can you
comment.
describe this for me? Hot. Okay, that's not. I mean, okay, look.
Stay focused. And her brain cell is just spinning around. Smoke coming out.
It heard Faye and it just fucked off.
It did a little shimmy and it fucking flew up into the sky. Did several backflips and then came back down and splattered.
So in true dragoon fashion,
Oh no.
basically that's what you just described. Okay,
Jumps
for a
up.
person who has never played a dragoon and mostly has only played summoner, you sure as fuck know what the fuck a dragoon does.
What can I say? Air is predictable, if nothing.
I'm consistent.
Consistent enough. Aside from the doesn't know if she wants to be easy or hard to please.
I mean, look, it's a really simple answer. She's a brat. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
whichever's the most inconvenient.
Oh yeah. You know what? That's the perfect explanation.
That's not the topic.
Well, now it is, bitch. Okay, she is
You
a
know
brat.
what? Wait, okay, that's for later. But no. I have an idea. But I'm not
Oh,
gonna talk about it
no.
right now. Okay, no.
She's got to let it sit.
I have to because like I don't want to say it right here. It's too spoilery for future episodes. Anyway, but Karos, as you
Oh,
were saying,
no.
closing statements.
Yes, no, I was going to say, yeah, thank y'all for your wonderful engagement here. Thank you, listeners, for putting up with us, really, and sticking around. Look forward to hopefully entertaining you next episode.
Yay! Yippee!
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.